now tuned in to the cold, hard truth. Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
And I want my vote, and to do something about the discrimination that Caymanians face on a day-to-day basis within the workforce, and to do something about the bullying within the schools. Then you can talk to me. You do something about the unemployed people of my community. And I'm not talking about after COVID, I'm talking about before it, because it's been going on for years. We vote you guys in, and you guys go up there and you argue about nothing and make no changes. I'm tired of it, man. It's 2021. I can barely afford groceries, light, water, and I'm paying somebody else's mortgage. You wanna know why? Because I can't even afford a house. I got my mother and my father asking me why I don't have a house. Your Cayman is no longer for Caymanians. And it hurts my heart to say that. That Cayman is no longer for us. What children have?
Newlands is a vibrant and diverse community which is experiencing tremendous growth as the Cayman population continues moving east. Heather Bodden and I have kept the Savannah Newlands Community Office open over the last 4 years to serve residents and address their needs. We will continue to do the work of improving and enhancing our communities in conjunction with well-established district councils. This work includes neighborhood watch programs for all communities, the setup and training of sufficient community emergency response teams, the safety and security of homes and businesses, public transportation, road improvements, effectively addressing drainage and flooding issues, managing and maintaining public spaces, implementing a local composting facility, and beautifying our roadsides and community parks. My objective is to make Newlands the best community in Grand Cayman, where residents enjoy a quality of life that is second to none.
Good morning, folks. Happy Monday. What is going on? It's a beautiful morning. We had an eventful weekend, and we're going to talk about it all. Who do we have? 139 of you good folks tuned in this morning. Big shout out to people from Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Couple things I want to discuss this morning. First of all, we are at the height of the political season, of course, and that means that a lot is going on. So let me just tell you guys some of what's going on. First of all, over the weekend, we had an amazing number of political meetings and events. And let's just say that, as those young people like to say, it was lit. OMG. Good morning, Miss Morna. How are you? Looking good. Who's got their CMR mug? Get those mugs ready, child, because the tea's hot today. We do have Myles, who's going to be joining us a little bit later on. So let's make sure we cover as much as we can before Michael comes on. He's going to be talking about his campaign and what he has been up to. Good morning to Olivia. The lovely Sanya is here. So West Bay was hot. Bernie, I understand, had some 350 people attend his meeting. Big shout out to Bernie. He had quite the crowd. Good morning to Grace and Corrine. So West Bay is hot for all the wrong reasons, folks. I got to tell you the truth. West Bay is hot because they seem to like a little extra mix-up in their political campaign. Wow. Well, they go for the jugular in West Bay. They make it extremely personal in West Bay. So much so that I haven't really been listening to them too much. By the way, accident right now by Jake Scott. Thank you so much for two astute persons who have just alerted me to this. If you're headed in that direction, avoid it if you can, basically. Because you know what happens when we have a little fender bender in the mornings, folks. You're going to be tied up forever. Big shout out to our audience members who actually, here it is, little fender bender. I don't even know how do you have an accident in morning traffic? Like, you just kind of need to pay half attention. Make sure you're halfway awake. Look at this. No, sir. Anyway, just be careful, folks. That's all I can tell you. But listen, thank you so much. First of all, for the kind people who made donations towards the purchase of a new CMR studio computer, because I know I've been talking to you guys about how the other one was doing really weird things, like just crashing on me, kind of weird, no explanation. Like literally it would just restart and it gave me what we call the blue screen of death, which, by the way, I haven't seen in a really long time. So when I saw that, I started to get a little bit scared, honey child, because I'm like, oh Lord, this poor computer is maxing itself out, you know? So we had to invest in a PC, and I want to thank all of the kind people. There were people who donated towards the cause. So thank you so much for that. It's finally here. Big shout out to our friends over at Aeropost. I'm telling you, if you need to get stuff on island, you need to give Eric and his team a call, because they do it and they do it right. Like the computer got there on the 15th in Miami, and I said, listen, I don't need you to consolidate anything with this. This is important. Get this to me right away. And by Friday, I think it was Friday, Thursday or Friday, I think it was Friday, they called to say, Miss Sandy, your computer's ready. Come and pick it up. So I sent my little husband, because, he's my IT man. I said, hubby, go pick up my computer and start setting it up for him. He was up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, putting all the things on here that I need. And he continued to work well into the weekend. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. There's a few of you who gave anonymous donations, but you have no idea how much it's appreciated, really and truly. So we're looking good. Everything's super fast right now. I don't see any glitches or anything. So Marshall, good morning to you. Good morning to Grace. Beautiful Desi is here, tuning in from Jamaica. One love, Desi, one love. Girl, Jamaica news be popping off all the time. We don't cover all of it, but every once in a while. Our regional correspondent, which she does international, and big shout out to Renee as well. She holds it down. You guys have no idea, especially during the election time, when I am really entrenched in a lot of the election happenings. Renee has been doing local stuff for our government press releases. She's been sometimes watching press briefings for me locally. Good morning, Miss Darlene. Good morning to Irvelyn. So she keeps an eye on what's happening in Jamaica. And I know a couple days ago, there were a couple really high profile murders. There's like a double murder over the weekend. Girl, they be going off kind of crazy in Jamaica. She keeps an eye on the whole COVID situation for us. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Siobhan. Good morning, Miss Anne. Hey, Louie. How's it going? So yeah, she really does a fantastic job with that. Now, as you guys know, we have been having some issues with the website, only because we had this little Canadian guy, Dr. Pascal. We soon write another story about him, don't worry, who is trying to get us shut down, and he's been unsuccessful in doing so. Like someone said, a political person said yesterday, does Dr. Pascal not know who Sandra Hill is? Like, you are the most resilient person in the Cayman Islands. Well, I don't know about that, but I tell you what, we are resilient enough to be able to tell Dr. Pascal that his shenanigans and his lies, talking about his name is, what fake name did he use again? Something Tibbets. They're not going to work on us, sir. And we'll be calling you this week too. I hope you're listening, because when we call you, we want you to answer the phone. Ridiculousness. Anyway, he tried his best, honey child, but it's not working. Takes a little bit more than that. Bonnie, thank you for always being here for us. And also thank you for the custard top last week. Appreciate it. So yes, we're here for some hot tea. Good morning, Jake. We haven't seen Jake in a minute. Miss Joy is here. Oh, yes, you need to get one of those mugs for sure. Brianna, Odell. Okay, let us get into the political talk for a minute here. So we had 3 meetings on Saturday. Now, it is getting busy. People are starting to do Friday meetings. Now, people don't normally do political meetings on Friday, because Friday is like happy hour. Everybody's going out. Nobody wants to talk about politics. But when you're 3 weeks out from a general election, you take every opportunity you can get to give people what you got. And so Friday meetings are coming up. Saturday meetings are coming up. It is happening. So on Saturday, we had 3 meetings. We had Heather Martin. We had Bernie Bush in West Bay. And like I said, the West Bayers, they're kind of popping off to a different vibe. especially with, well, apparently there's no longer a CDP, but it's still McKeeva and his crew. And they really make it personal. They go for the jugular. And, I like it when meetings are clean, when they're about the issues, when they're focusing on what your candidate has done. Yeah, sometimes you have to highlight what your opponent hasn't done as an MP, as a representative. But what McKeeva and them are doing is they're going low, like they're making it personal, trying to attack Ralston's baby mama drama. Trying to pretend like him and Bernie, or her and Bernie, have some sort of a relationship together. Like she's an obsessed woman. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. I cannot even begin to tell you. We discussed it last week, I think on Thursday or Friday. And so I don't even want to get into it anymore. It's just so ridiculous. But what I'm going to say, if you're listening and you're part of Ralston's crew, good morning, Yvette. Good morning, Anna. Richie Rich is in the house. Try to leave that situation alone, because what you're going to do is you're going to push that girl to come out with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And let me assure you that Ralston does not come out smelling like a bed of roses in that situation. And my question becomes, why are you focusing on the personal attacks? Do you not have anything in the political arena, like his track record, that you can talk about? What Ralston accomplished when he was in office? Like, why is the focus not on that part of the discussion? And when it isn't, it makes me then wonder what's really going on here. I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. Come May the 15th, we as a country have to move on. We have to be, still family to each other. Some of you are losing friends. Listen to how stupid this is over an election. Good morning, Elizabeth and Tony, tuned in from Canada. James is also joining us from Canada, as I remember. Losing friends over an election is the stupidest thing in the world. Don't make no sense. Some of you are about to lose family members over an election. Now, how stupid is that? April the 15th. My apologies. I think I just said May. Somebody just wants something. They're like, it's not May. April the 15th, about 3 weeks out. And I can tell you right now that this makes no sense whatsoever. Now, I know y'all might be jealous because I'm going to show you a video here in a second. The meeting that really was popping off. Now, like I said, I heard Bernie's meeting was very good. Go on our Facebook page. All 3 meetings were live streaming. But the meeting that was really, really popping off was Kenneth Bryan. Folks, Kenneth Bryan is like the runaway tree in this election. He brought it for his launch meeting. And he brought it extra spicy, extra hot, and it was good. Miss Amelia was there blowing her horn. Listen, that was the best meeting. The energy was good. Big shout out to Odell. Odell was the MC for the evening. Odell was funny. He was good. He was entertaining. People just really, really loved it. And I got to tell you the truth. Kenneth is a politician. I don't know if you guys have realized this or not. Kenneth is still young. This is his first term in, but he has really honed in on some skills that I see other more seasoned politicians still working on. He's a people's person. You know what, though? It's so easy when it's genuine, and you can really, really tell that with Kenneth, it comes from the heart. I guess it's hard if you're not really a people's person, Alden, and you're into politics. Like, it's a little bit, you got to do a little bit extra to kind of like try to be amusing and to pretend like you care about people, Alden. And I get that that's not everybody's cup of tea. Like, you can be a good representative, but maybe you don't have that charisma, Alden. And, maybe you've got to work at it a little bit extra hard. But I tell you what, Kenneth is like, he was on fire. He was really on fire. It was a good meeting. Lots of young people participated in it, which I loved. You guys got to go watch it. I think it's got almost like 10,000 views already. Yeah. And the crowd was into it. Like they were present and they had their little blowhorns. They were participating. There just wasn't a dull moment of that meeting. We had all sorts of, we had a member of the Latin Hispanic community, Dominican, our good friend. She was speaking in Spanish and English, just telling people how much she really supported, Kenneth and why. Not just because she likes him, but because you know what? He's the type of person who, even as a representative of the people, so many of them, you call them and they just ignore your phone calls, child. They don't even care. Like they're not even pretending to really represent the people. They're like, I'm not gonna call you back, right, Leroy? Yeah, Leroy, you might have missed that story last week. We did a story on him as Jackass of the Day when him and his wife breached quarantine. You might remember this case. This was the couple before Skylar, right before Skylar, that breached quarantine so many times that the government remembered that they had passed the law making it a jail sentence and whatever for quarantine breaches, but then they totally forgot to gazette it for an entire month. So this couple breached quarantine no less than 15 times. And they got no jail time. They were fined like $2,000 because the law hadn't been gazetted. You see, it's these little minor details, folks, that make a world of difference. Trust me. And so we did a story on them. And, we had the whole scoop. And so they're pissed off because we told nothing but the the cold, hard truth about them. So yes, they're upset. We don't care if they're upset because it was the truth. Well, apparently they care because I guess it made them look bad. I don't know. So all I can tell you folks is what a hot mess. They were not happy about that. So now that we told the truth about them, and they don't want us to tell the truth. And now every time somebody Googles their name, I guess they get to see them. They're all upset about it. So they're trying to hide all this information from the public. So they want us to take it down. They've been harassing us since December to take it down. And we've said no, 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 and no, thank you. All right. Cecile, thank you. Miss Corrine. Yes, Kenneth got it. There we are. Vertica Polanco. She had it going on, honey child. She was telling him, vote. Now, listen, everybody knows that Kenneth is going to win. The only question is, by what margin is Kenneth going to win? So they were telling the people, don't make it 90%. Don't make it 95%. Go and make it 100%. And I tell you what, you guys want to hear the funniest part about this? His opponent looked like he's a little bit worried. Let me show you why I say that. Poor little Frank Cornwall. He's praying about everything, he says. And there's nothing wrong with prayer. We are a praying people, and we believe in desperate times. That is what you do. You pray. So here he is, folks, praying. He says, only God knows and understands my struggle at this time. God, only in you I trust. Well, don't trust PPM, that's for sure. Don't trust the progressives, Frank, because they'll throw you down the river in a hurry. The progressives know that you're about to lose, honey child. And you know what? You're more of a sacrificial lamb than what they did last time with what's his name? Oh gosh, what's it? Marco. Yes, honey child. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Frank. But pray. And you know what you should be praying for? Pray that all the right people get in this time, which unfortunately for you wouldn't really include most of your progressives, or none of them really. I'm sorry to tell you. But if you're praying for God to do the right thing, which is what we should always be praying for, good guidance and that sort of thing, then you know how it's going to go. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Dana. Miss Dana loves these colors. Can I tell you something? My closet is getting a little bit desperate. Ooh, we have 303 people logged in right now. Big shout out to our YouTube crowd. They are growing by the day. They're up to 30. And of course, Facebook brings it in at 273 people. Way to go, Facebook. Yes, thank you. The closet is getting a little bit desperate. Number one, we are in March and somebody around here still ain't walking, still ain't exercising, but I'm trying to do a little bit better with the diet. So a few people have seen me and they're like, have you lost some weight? And I'm not too sure if they're seeing right or whatever, but I'm like, I don't really think so, but thanks, I think. So, yeah, I need a total refreshing of the closet, but we can't just jump on a plane and go to Miami right now, which we're going to talk about in a second, because we don't have that luxury. So I'm going to have to try to get my cousin-in-laws who live in Tampa. Those are my husband's cousins, but they're cousins, awesome people. And it's so funny that my husband ends up having cousins in Tampa where I grew up. I'm like, such a small world. My Jamaican husband at that, right? He's got family all over. I love it. Caribbean people all kind of mix up all over the place. So I messaged our cousin's wife and I said, honey, child, I'm going to need some help because the outfit is getting desperate. Some of the outfits I've had forever, like they're so old, but like my aunt always said, honey, child, buy quality clothing and you don't have to shop every weekend because that's a waste of money. Like literally I have stuff in my closet that I've had for at least 10 years and I can still wear it. Might be a little bit tight, but I can still wear it. So Mark, thank you. What is Mark saying? Oh gosh, Mark. No, you're not supposed to be talking about all these fake cures and whatever. This is a talk show, the cold hard truth. We don't believe in fake news about a doctor out of Nigeria. So unfortunately, you get blocked and deleted. Some Nigerian contacted me over the weekend, by the way. Child, please. He was like, oh, Miss Sandra. Michael, I see you. Don't worry. He said, oh, Miss Sandra. Well, first of all, they don't even know who they're contacting. They just scour the internet, and they find your number and they start randomly messaging you. Oh, are you in the Cayman Islands? And you're like, here we go. How can I help you? Oh, I'm looking for a job, he says. And I'm like, really? Let me tell you what he said to me because I had to laugh at him. Oh, yeah, I'm looking for a job and I'm wondering if you can hire me. Child, please, you must be all sorts of stupid. Yes, I'm going to hire you from Nigeria. I don't know who the hell you are, but I'm going to hire you from Nigeria. So I said, honey child, first of all, you're talking to the wrong person because I do not believe in breaking the immigration law. That's for sure. And maybe you need to find a legitimate job somewhere in the world. Anyway, I don't know. He wasn't too on the up and up with understanding, I think, what was really going on. So this is what he said to me. He said, with due respect, sir. I love when they call you sir and you're not a sir, but anyway. They don't know the difference, child, because they really don't care. They're just looking for somebody to scam. He says, I'm going to show it to you guys here. With all due respect, sir, I need a job. Can you help me come to the Cayman Islands? And I'm like, no, we cannot help you. The level of desperation, though, the world over. If you think you were getting scammed before, let me assure you that the scammers are now in high alert. So this is him. He started out saying hello, blah, blah, blah. And we said, how can we help? With due respect, sir, I'm Daniel from Nigeria. But living in Dubai. Sure you are, Daniel. Presently. Sir, my dream is to come Cayman Island and work over there. I want your assistance to get working permits and over there, sir. I will pay for it by myself. I just want you to assist me get job there, sir, please. I said, that's against the law. Sorry, we can't help to break the law. How, sir? Please explain to me to better understand you, sir. Really? Are you kidding me? Is what I'm thinking at this point. I was like, listen, it's not allowed what you're suggesting. Check the site to inquire from the authorities. And I gave him the work site, and then I promptly blocked him and reported that to WhatsApp. Listen, we have a lot of unemployed Caymanians looking for employment. I ain't got time to be helping you find a job. Okay? If I'm trying to find a job, it's going to be people right here in the Cayman Islands. So before we bring Michael on, let's address the elephant in the room. A couple big things happened over the weekend. First of all, our condolences to the young man who lost his life. We don't have a name yet, but we did get his photo. And it looks like a very sad situation. But good folks. Oh, yes. One of our avid YouTube watchers, I've not forgotten you. We're just waiting for the website to fully propagate today and come back online. And we will be addressing the CIS situation. Give me 1 second. So listen, this young man, I'll get his name by later on today, Jamaican fella. So condolences to his family and friends. Made a decision to drink and drive. And it is what it is, right? Let me be very, very honest with you. We have to be smarter about all sorts of decisions that we make. Everything from, deciding who to elect for political office. Thank you, Jake. I'm going to send you my shopping list. And at the end of the day, sometimes the poor decisions we make will cost us our lives. These are decisions, every day we wake up and we decide to do X, Y, Z. This young man, I understand from my sources in East End, had his keys taken from him. That's how drunk he was. People were like, give us your keys, honey, because you cannot be driving. And you know what? He got his keys back and he drove. Oh, Lord, his poor mother, his family must really be feeling it today because unfortunately, when someone sent me the first picture of him over the weekend, I was like, wow, this is not good. His Jeep that he was driving literally looked like a toy, because he went through the guardrails, over the edge, and right into the water, right by the blowholes. And of course, the police were there after 2:00, 3:00 in the morning, recovering him from the scene. And unfortunately, all they were recovering was a body. And somebody actually said to me, because he was in the ocean, apparently. I mean, I'm going to show you the picture here in a second. But he was actually in the ocean, and someone said to me, wow, it's amazing that they could even have recovered him, because in that area, a lot of times you see sharks. So it went straight over, and you guys know where the blowhole is. I mean, there's a little bit of space between the edge of the road and the water. So he must have been doing substantial amount of speed for this Jeep to end up all the way down there in the water. And he was actually in the water. Oh, man. I feel so bad for his family this morning. So condolences go out to that young man and his family. And listen, I don't personally drink. Like, I'm not really a drinker, so I don't get the whole, oh, Al Ebanks, you can make me some clothes? What? I need to come and see you, honey child. I don't get the whole drink to excess thing. If I have a little sip of something, I'm like, oh, this tastes good, honey, but I'm not going to overindulge. But if you're drinking a lot and someone says to you, listen, just give me your keys, you need to listen, because there's something that person is seeing that you yourself, in your inebriated state, you're not appreciating. So someone else says, give me your keys, give them the keys, and don't take the keys back. No, Carol, unfortunately, that wasn't it at all. He was out drinking. Really sad. So one more thing before we bring Michael in. You guys heard the news yesterday, and there were a few questions that were coming in, and so I want to address this. A celebrity has caused Cayman Airways staff to be placed in quarantine, or should I say, they caused it themselves, really. So listen, you guys know I love me some Cayman Airways. I support our national carrier. They're here when nobody else is here for us. And they have done a phenomenal job during COVID. They have been our lifeline to getting, things done on this island, things in. And so at the end of the day, you've got to still keep up your guard. COVID isn't over, folks. In fact, we are nowhere near COVID being over, if the truth be told. COVID is going to be a long time something. And so we're fortunate enough where we don't have to constantly wear masks. Some of you probably aren't even washing your hands anymore. I'm just saying, you probably really aren't. You should be, because this is how we continue to stay safe. But here's a celebrity. His name is Ron Perlman. A lot of you would know him from Hellboy. He was like the Hellboy guy, apparently. So he's quite an interesting character. He also does, he is one of the actors in this Sons of Anarchy show. I've never really seen it, to be honest. I know the Hellboy genre, but again, I don't think I've ever watched any of his stuff. But obviously when I saw him, I knew that he was an actor. Yes, he's famous, whatever. So you guys aren't really paying attention, because Ron Perlman looks like he got his vaccine Of course, all of our Cayman Airways staff have likewise been vaccinated. But here's the kicker, folks. The vaccine does not protect you from getting it and spreading it to other people. That isn't what the vaccine does. And that's why a lot of people don't get it. They're like, oh, well, you guys are all vaccinated. Just open your doors so we can come visit. Oh, no, 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 no. We don't want you coming and visit like that. We still have to listen to good medical advice and maintain the protocols that are in place. So the vaccine will help you if you get it. It will help you not become as sick. It will help you potentially not to die. That's where the vaccine has its value. And we don't know how long that protection will last for. But if you have it and you don't even know you have it because you're asymptomatic, you can easily pass on to other people. So Ron Perlman, he's in I think he's 70 now, actually. He just turned 70 during the COVID lockdown. This is an interesting little scandal that he was involved in a couple years ago. He was seen kissing this woman in the middle, who was quite a bit younger than him, young enough to be his daughter. His wife is the woman on the right. And he has 2 children with her, a daughter who's in her 30s and a son. So he is visiting the Cayman Islands. I don't know if he's here just a vacation. We know that we have some film crews here. So I don't know if his film crew is here and maybe he's coming down to film a scene. Listen, we're letting all kind of people in. So only God knows why we were letting him in. But he's here and he has to go into quarantine just like everybody else. The problem really is Cayman Airways employees decided that they were going to take a picture with this guy with their mask off. Oh, Cayman Airways employees, what are you doing? Don't do it. Be careful. Seriously. So they did that, and now they have to be quarantined. Because ordinarily, Cayman Airways staff do not get quarantined. Now, here's the other thing, is apparently the plane went to Cayman Brac. So, you know, Brackers now are like, what the heck is going on? So everyone's going to be in quarantine. Listen, I don't know. Let me show you the picture here. Hold on one second. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information, and then we're going to pull our special guest into the program. I don't know who this woman is that was photographed with him on Cayman Airways. But you know, people are so ridiculous. Not only do they breach the quarantine, but then they turn around and they take a photo and they put it all over social media. So here's Crystal. I don't know who Crystal Clater is. She says that she's in the BRAC. This is how I knew when I started asking questions that there was a BRAC connection to this. I said, hold on a second here. Did this flight go to the BRAC? Because normally you don't stop over in Grand Cayman and then go to the BRAC, not since COVID. Like they have, you know, they do direct flights to the BRAC now to try to get the BRACers sorted out. So this young lady said, I did it. Well, you sure did it. You did it. You put Cayman on the map again. People are talking about this morning. And so this is one photo that she posted on social media. Those are brand new planes. Aren't they lovely? But there are other photos of Cayman Airways staff with him taking photos without their mask. Now, we all know that you're supposed to be masked up when you're on the plane and in the airport. They won't even let you in the airport without a mask. So how this happened, how you think you could take your mask off for a photo op is really, really quite ridiculous. Cayman Airways staff, do not let your guards down for a celebrity. Don't do it. I don't care who he is. It's not worth the risk. So now 3 staff members have to be placed in quarantine from Cayman Airways because they breached the online on-air protocols. We don't know if they will be facing any charges as a result of this, but I guess the authorities will let us know in short order. I mean, the implications of this could be very, very serious. The other thing that we know, so a lot of people were sending around, messages saying that they're a bunch of idiots, they're this, they're that, taking selfies with some famous person on board. Now a bunch of them have to go into quarantine. Someone said that one person got arrested. I don't know if that's true yet. We're going to check with the authorities this morning. But needless to say, it just is not a good look for Cayman Airways. And so I would encourage all remaining Cayman Airways staff to please be on your guard. It is not worth it. It just isn't worth it, okay? So, Brackers, you be on your guard as well. Because at the end of the day, we are 3 very small islands, and it would not take much for this virus to resurge. And none of us want to go into lockdown. Trust me when I tell you, we can't take it again. It was a stressful time. People were cracking under the mental stress of being in 24/7 lockdown. That's all I'm going to say. Tomorrow, I want to talk about the unsolved murder of one of our own Cayman Brackers, because this story needs some attention and we need some answers as to why nothing has happened in this community. Michael Myles, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Sandy.
How you doing?
Real good.
Yeah, you're looking good this morning.
Good. Yeah, I appreciate it. It. Thank you.
All right. So I can see you're at work at your office.
I am.
Welcome to the program again.
Thank you. And thanks for the listening, your listening audience. I'm sure that there's some folks who signed on. Yes,
we got over 300 people listening, child.
Okay. All right.
Cayman's #1 talk show, don't you know? So, Michael, you have been busy, I hear.
I have.
Tell us what you've been up to since we spoke to you last.
Let me see. I had the Chamber of Commerce forum. That was pretty good. From there, I had a town hall meeting. I also did a forum with young people from John Gray and Clifton Hunter. That was phenomenal. I have a lot of respect and time for the Chamber of Commerce, but I really enjoyed the forum with these 18 youngsters that came out. They had pre-prepared questions, similar like the Chamber of Commerce, but I loved the conversation behind that. And in between that, I mean, I've been really going house to house, door to door, apartment to apartment. I've had a number of backyard meetings. I've been on the radio a couple of times with OC. And yesterday I was meeting with some families again because they want to be sure. People want to now, get this right. So they want to know where I stand, what I intend to do, how they can get involved, how they can keep engaged. So it's been busy. And then within that, I was part of the Employing Cayman sort of steering committee. So we through a sort of career fair. Well, I shouldn't even say career fair. It's really a job fair. But we wanted to do it different. So I spent on Saturday all day. I spent until 12 o'clock on Saturday at the Marriott, talking to our people, guiding them through what needs to happen. Certainly, resumes, that sort of stuff. And then on last week, I spent Monday and Tuesday interviewing Caymanians to do training and in a partnership with work. We're doing training. So we interviewed about 40 people, 40 young Caymanians to do training at our center. So we're busy. I'm busy, but it's been a phenomenal journey in the last couple of months in doing this.
Oh, very, very good. We do have a reader who sent a comment on WhatsApp. They says it's a pity that Michael and Sabrina are political opponents. Would be great to have both of them in the house. With one of them, wish one of them had run in Georgetown West. Oh boy. So it's some stuff competition in your constituency for sure. I
Sure.
think there's some very strong of all of the debates. I keep hearing that Prospect actually performed the best. And you, Sabrina, and
Austin.
My apologies. Yes, Austin Harris are all very, very strong candidate. You all, bring a lot to the table and you have a lot to offer to the constituents of Prospect. So it's definitely going to be an interesting, I think, result come April the 14th, folks.
Yeah.
April the 14th. Do not go out May. It's going to be too late. So April the 14th, just ensure that you are ready. So how did you find the debate? Because I think the last time we spoke to you, it was actually before the debate. Is that right?
And it wasn't a debate, it was a forum, right? So
Yes.
it wasn't like I was debating the debate. It wasn't like I was debating Sabrina or Austin. We answered a lot of questions on where our positions are and so forth. So I think it's fine. I would have loved to have more time to answer those questions, because you can't answer a question in education in 2 minutes. You can't answer a question on health or environment in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? I tried to get off the points that I felt that people needed to hear. And that's why, Sandra, that's why I do door to door. That's why I'm in the community and I'm accessible to the folks in the community, because people now need me to elaborate on what that plan is. So it was fine for what it is, but I think in the future, that may have to be adjusted if we're going to give our people really an in-depth look at what our plans are as candidates. But again, I believe that a lot of folks got as much as they possibly could get out of it, and I thank the chamber for providing the service to all of us as candidates.
For sure. No, it's a very, very, I think, important forum that they offer. And, when we were kind of thinking about how to participate in the debate process, originally we were actually going to do our own debate. And we thought then once the time was condensed, it became a little bit more difficult to squeeze everyone in. So we're piggybacking off of the chamber debates, and we are live streaming that for the benefit of our listeners every single evening, Monday through Friday. So please tune in for those who are interested. I think it gives you a little bit of a glimpse. It's not the only thing. And I wonder, Michael, if you can give your opinion on this. I like how you just said that, it's kind of difficult to answer these questions in 2 minutes. And, one of the options that we're offering people starting this week is a 15-minute segment. So someone can sit down for 15 minutes and talk about comprehensively their plans for the top 10 hot button topics, including education, cost of living, employment, post-pandemic recovery, and so on. So I think, though, that it's still a meaningful opportunity to kind of get a glimpse, and that's all it is. I think that people would be they should be guarded on deciding just based on the chamber forums who they're going to vote for, because that's only a little snippet. I don't even know if that should really count as even 25% of what you think of an individual, because someone's history speaks volumes, I think, about what they have to offer.
Totally agree. I absolutely agree.
Because there were some runaway people with the forums, and people were like, oh my God, this person's great, they're going to get elected. I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's look at their track record. So let's talk about your track record, Michael, because I think this is an opportunity for you to highlight some of those things.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I want to add is that even on your show, I get an hour, but I cannot say enough about what I've done or how I've done it and so forth. So what I'm gonna sort of preempt this with, Sandra, is I'd like for people to visit my website, www.electmichaelmyles.com. I put loads of information out there about who I am, what I've achieved. And also over the last 8 months, I've been doing FaceTime, not FaceTime, Facebook Lives. So all of that has been posted out there as well. And people can Google my name. I mean, I believe that in the end, it's exactly what you've just said. We should be considered based on what we have done and what we're currently doing. So here's what I have done in the past, right? I'm going to go back 10 years. So while working for the Ministry of Education, I created a national after school program. I helped fund it. By the time I left the ministry from between 2010 and 2017, that program have been funded at probably over $5 million, private and public. But I had to create the program, implement the program, recruit the staff for the program. And at the end of the day, the program is now up and running. That program has also been an employment opportunity. The YMCA is now running that program full time. They have a contract with the ministry. But that was my brainchild almost 10 years ago because Sandra, I grew up in an after school program. I grew up with a single mom, working several jobs, and she needed to put me somewhere. So she put me in a football after school program. When I came back in 2010, the big concern for a lot of parents is that they did not know where their children were at 3 o'clock when they got out of school. So that's one of the programs that I created. Inspire Came On also was a brainchild of mine, and it's what I'm currently doing because there's too many gaps in the public education system. So when a lot of our kids are transitioning out of school, there's really no training other than going to UCCI or ICCI. And let's face it, maybe 20%, and that's being generous, of young people that's transitioning on to tertiary education. Our kids need consistent development because they cannot compete. So I developed Inspire Came On to ensure that we can bridge that gap. Today, we are, well, since 2019 that it has been established, we've had over 200 people come through our doors, and we are licensed through the Ministry of Education, and I have at least 3 accreditations international. From there, I created Youth Act several years ago in response to gang violence, crime in our public and private schools. And Youth Act was a response to a lot of that stuff. So I partnered with at least 10 different agencies, brought a lot of these organizations together, Bonnie Anglin, and I created Youth Act. And we went into the schools, and the first program we did was a crime prevention day, which brought multiple agencies together, including prison and police, and a host of professionals. And we were able to educate young people about the decisions that they were making. And that program we funded for, I would say, 4 or 5 years. We have consistently battled with the government because the government should be funding this program. Bonnie and I'm sure I think between the both of us, we probably raised over $150,000. There's a program called SNAP, Stop Now and Plan. If the Family Resource Center runs this program. This program, the government sent me to to Canada. They sent me to Canada to look at rehabilitation and early prevention programs, SNAP, and people can go out there and do the research. The acronym stands for Stop Now and Plan. When I visited Canada almost 10 years ago now, I saw this program. It was like the light bulb went off for me because it's a best practice program that starts at 6 to 7 years old in supporting young people and their parents to make better decisions. People can go out there and Google SNAP and they will absolutely see, how this program runs, or contact the Family Resource Center. Bonnie and I got together again. The program was delivered through Youth Anti-Crime Trust, and we delivered the program to Came On, and we raised well over $100,000 for that. In between this Sunday, I've raised and supported and assisted hundreds of young people and parents from vulnerable communities, whether it's getting computers, whether it's getting access to medication, healthcare, dentists. I mean, you name it. I've moved stuff forward. And that's why, I say to folks, we have to stop experimenting with candidates. We have to start looking at what our country wants, and we have to start to vote for candidates that are going to produce, that have a track record of producing. My goal is to hit the ground running. My goal isn't to sit and plan. But part of that is to also implement a district council that manages some of the load of where I believe has to be managed through the prospect community. We cannot simply just take care of folks that live in very well neighborhoods. We have to take care of our people who are living in vulnerable communities. And you know, one of the things that I have found while canvassing, well, I shouldn't say found, it have reminded me of community. Their prospect is extremely vast, right? Prospect goes from Marina Drive all the way up to Sports Newlands, and Sports Newlands is a very well spread out community up in there. It goes from, you know, middle class homes to, you know, upper to middle class homes, right? It goes from folks who are struggling, who could be on needs assessment unit, living paycheck to paycheck, to people who are doing very well for themselves. But one of the things that I've found is that we don't talk to each other. We only now communicate through WhatsApp or through social media. No one wants to get in the same room and actually have a conversation anymore in plan. Everybody wants to go out on Facebook and put everything on blast. And that's not how you get stuff done. You get stuff done by coming to the table. So I have pushed prospect folks to commit that I don't just want to vote from you. I want your engagement. We have to be able to build back community. The same flooding that happens on Mangrove is the same flooding that happens in Adventure Street, or, you know, down in Sports Newlands roads. I mean, Sports Newlands, it could be a little town all by itself. So, but people don't know that. They think that they're living their worst lives. The same light poles that need to happen off of Mangrove or off of Mahogany, people need those same things. But if we can come together, and people in Prospect can start making some decisions, what is priority for the district, then it removes the candidate from this, to where we don't cherry pick on who we want to get what. And that's what I want to bring back to this. It's more transparency. I'm not raising funds to just give out food cards. The Prospect District Council will identify those people, and we will push to ensure that the folks in Prospect are supported. And I think everybody knows this, Sana. Like, everybody knows an individual who can use some support. I'm not here to vote by anyone. I'm not walking around Prospect handing out fridges and stoves and microwaves, because that's not going to help our people. What's going to help our people is where we can come together, look at how ways that we can reduce the cost of living. I mean, there's so many phenomenal ideas that have gotten from people in Prospect, and certainly people across this country, that highlights the things that we can do to reduce healthcare, help with education. You know, people are now wanting to get back involved in things like volunteerism. We've lost that. So there's a lot of things that I have done, and I can spend this entire show, Sunday, in telling you of everything that I have done, and it will not be enough time, because I have a proven track record of doing stuff. What annoys me is that people want to sit in a room and talk about it while I'm outside doing it. You know, the employee in Kimon committed it. I think I saw you posted it on Kimon Mall Road on Saturday. That was a brainchild that came from a couple of concerned employers contacting me and saying, what can we do about trying to get Kimons back to work? We got together, we put some plans in place, and it was executed on Saturday. Now, it wasn't Michael Myles' idea, but I took part in that because it's important to me that when I train up people at the training center, that they can transition into some level of job that provides them a career path. So we have to start to look at solutions. There's a lot that I can put in place, but I need people to continue to be engaged.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. We have a few questions here. So Odell, Elizabeth says, morning, Michael, you make us proud. Keep up the good work. Alice says that they're both great candidates and we need change. Monique says that, Michael, she met you a couple weeks ago and she found you to be a very genuine, concerned person about Caymanian people. Odell wants to know what you think about the mortgage impending crisis.
Here's what I believe, right? So yesterday I got the privilege of talking to a young lady. The young lady talked to me about, she's 28 years old. She has a professional job. She has a master's in as a education psychologist. When she came on, she can't get a job. And then she went on to say to me, how do young people like me get a mortgage when I don't make enough for that? The banks aren't going to give that to me. Well, my daughter's in the same position. I have a 25-year-old who's working hard, who works for government, who's done a great job, who's very well qualified, but she can't afford a mortgage. We have to start to look at developing the Cayman Development Bank, that if the commercial banks aren't doing this, our government have to step in to make this a reality.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to this, Sunday, I have done loads of research across the world. There's loads of countries now that what they're doing when big development is happening or big developers are coming in to build million-dollar condos or hotels or subdivisions, it is in their law. It's in their development law, their development plan, that whatever the developer is putting down, the government provides the concession of property, and these developers must, it's by law, that they also provide affordable housing to the local population, right? And I believe that our laws have to be changed to include stuff like that. But we also have to make sure that banks are lending money to our people who are steady working, who have a history of good employment, who's making a decent salary, and who simply just need to start a home. Like my 25-year-old can't afford a house, even though she makes a pretty decent salary and has a great job history. And that she's not the only one. There's hundreds that I've met like this. I've met a family, I have met several couples that are making $80,000 to $90,000 a year. They have land and can't get a mortgage, but the banks will lend them $50,000 to get a BMW. The banks will lend them $40,000 to get an Audi, right? But will not give them the funding to provide their families a starter home. And I think it's wrong. And I think as a government, we need to step in and we need to do something about that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Richard says good morning from England. Has any of the candidates discussed home ownership? So Richard, that was exactly what we were just discussing. He expresses that he desperately needs a home. However, the red tape by the government, along with the high construction cost, is a setback, and his property is in Prospect. So Richard, hopefully you were listening to that response. Alpha's Bank talks about the resurfacing and widening of Mangrove Road in Prospect without including defined sidewalks. That's a failure. I suppose their main focus was it leads to their club. Well, I don't know why it is. Well, I do know why it is, but every election cycle, every 4 years, we appear to get more roads paved than anything else. And it's just amazing sometimes that they're paving roads that, in all honesty, shouldn't even be at the top of the paving priority list, because there are other roads that are desperately in need of paving. They're full of potholes, and you drive down them, your shocks on your car is being destroyed. And those are still being neglected because they're just not in certain key areas. Why are people so easily fooled by the paving of roads? Like, why is that such an impressive thing that's going to garnish you a few votes? Michael, why do you think that is?
I believe that our people have gotten very desperate for support, right? Sandra, we currently have 13,000 people on welfare. Now, Austin made the point of this at the forum, and he bragged about, how the government is helping. And that's great. But when I started off as a social worker in 1995, we had a growing number of people on welfare. We've developed loads and loads of reports that have highlighted how to move people off of welfare. Now, some of these people are our seniors, our most vulnerable citizens, our seamen, and our elderly that started off late with their pension, so they need to be subsidized. But a larger percentage of our people can work. They need to be reskilled or retooled in some way. So when they are going back out there to apply for jobs, they're coming in at a higher salary range. Are there discrimination in Cayman? Yes, they are. It is here. I talk to young people, I talk to elderly folks, I talk to loads of people, and yes, it is. We have to now look at enforcing our laws. We have to hold employers who do this sort of discrimination accountable, and we have to make sure that they're penalized or they're put on a blacklist to us, and people know that this employer is not a good employer and you don't want to go there. And hopefully they change their practices. But when I look at how desperate our people have gotten, when we have 13,000 people that are consistently holding out their hand, a road seems possible, a turkey seems possible, whatever the politician is handing out seems very open to anyone because they have us desperate. We're desperate for help. Caymanians are now desperate for help in a country that we're building on just about everything. That where there's thousands of work permits. I mean, my last count was at 30,000 plus before COVID happened. That we lost a couple of thousand of people, but I guarantee you, the moment that this country's open back up, we hit 40,000 work permits easily, and Caymanians are outnumbered in our country. But what our government has done, and I've seen this systematically, because I've been in the system, no one could tell me that this haven't happened because I've seen it. I've been in the system a very long time. And that's what separates me from the other two candidates, is that I've seen this. I've ensured that we had resources to combat it. But now we need more and more people to now push it and have the will and the courage to push this forward. We have systematically ensured that Caymanians remain desperate. So yeah, a road is now the big thing, right? I need Caymanians to see that I've done something as a politician. So why not pave their road? They've been complaining about it for a long while. So why not pave their road? Every Christmas, I get a little ham or turkey or this or that, or someone drops by and gives me a Christmas card. I mean, I've talked to people who have never seen the incumbent until this year, 4 years. And I think it's unfortunate. Also, we have a district council law. The moment that I start to talk about district councils, people are buying in because they want to be part of democracy. Right. And I have said in that I want to be held accountable. I want to be accountable to the people in Prospect, by the people of this country. But I also want to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. And that's what makes me different from a lot of other folks. We have to start to look now at what people like me have done, what I'm doing, and the people I'm bringing together. Because every project that I've told you, Sandra, that I have done, I didn't do it by myself. Even Inspire. In the last year, I've raised $100,000 in scholarships for young people because the 90% of young people that walk through my door don't have funding. They don't have money to pay for courses. So I've gotten Rotary involved. I've gotten private investors involved. And now young people have scholarships because I cannot rely on the government to provide young people the scholarships that they need to do training, right? So we have to step outside of our shell and we have to do a little bit more. And this stuff becomes this stuff is easy for me because I have a brand and people know where my heart is. They don't need to question what Michael Myles is going to do. They know what I'm going to do. I'm always going to do the right thing, and I'm always going to be on the side where Caymanians are driven to advancement. That's never going to be questionable. Caymanians must advance because our country has advanced. So Caymanians have to keep up with that. And in the last 25 years, we haven't done that as a country because we have built a country based on the trickle-down economics, right? Oh yeah, let's build a big hotel because Caymanians are going to get trickled down from that. Well, that doesn't happen unless Caymanians are in that industry. And in the construction industry, Sandy, you know this as much as I do. Caymanians aren't in the construction industry. They're not skilled. The average electrician or plumber or automotive technician or computer technician or a person that fixes our cell phones, they're not Caymanian. They're from another country, but these are the jobs that are making money, right? And we have to now start to impress upon our people that we have to start to do this. That's why it was important that I take part in the Employing Cayman initiative, because I want to make sure that we're helping Caymanians to advance. But to help Caymanians advance, they need to know what industries are moving in a direction that they can hop onto and ride that gravy train forward. We cannot go to NAU and they'll provide. We have to start to say, okay, NAU is a temporary thing, but we now have to reskill and retool, and then we are going to force employers, because this is what it comes down to, unfortunately, because our government have said to a lot of employers, well, you have a choice. You don't really have to take Caymanians because we make $90 million off of work permits every year. So we rely on that. And I don't think it should be relied on, not when you're paying $60 million in at NAU's door. So NAU spends over $60 million. So let's say we are collecting $90 million in work permit revenue. Well, if you're paying that out at NAU's door, that's $30 million left. Then you know where the rest of that goes? The prison now costs us about $25 million. That $90 million is completely dead. But what if we can cut? What if we can cut the revenue from work permits, because Caymanians are actively participating, and we also cut the needs from needs assessment unit? It's a win-win situation where we don't have to come up with additional revenue. You're just reducing Caymanians participating. Caymanians are homeowners. Caymanians are business owners, and they're contributing more to our economy. So the needs that we have in terms of social needs, we don't really need to invest in that anymore, but we can take that money and invest in education, healthcare for all, because this is the major thing that's now destroying people's lives. Every family that I've met in the last 8 months have a healthcare issue. Every single one. They either can't afford it, or their child, there's a family member in the house that have a pre-existing condition that they cannot get healthcare for. And we have to address that. I'm not going to get into things like pension right now because it gets very technical and so forth, but it's there, and we know that we need to fix it. But what we now need is people with will, that's willing to get in and willing to roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and make some hard decisions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that, Michael. We have a few comments. People are definitely listening. Anonymous says, what list works did not even turn up to the employment fair this past Saturday. That's unfortunate to hear. You think that they would be there. Elizabeth says, bring back the Cayman Protection Board. Ingrid says it's time to create the blacklist for employers. That's a wonderful idea. Julie says everything that government has set up from 2001, it's set to keep Caymanians down. The sooner that is recognized, the better. It's time to wake up, Cayman. Louis chimes in. It says paving roads is like man's way of producing rain. Everyone benefits, but people are hungry and need jobs with a good wage. 40 hours work week should equal a good quality of life. Merstar agrees that all for a vote to say that they're helping people. Odell is of the opinion that a welfare state is what's being developed for dependence on the politicians, which is something we do not want. Odell says you're making good sense, Michael. Sharon says people complain to works and nothing is done. Instead, they give people work permits. Not surprisingly, over the weekend, I had a number of people say to me that they had reported, work permit holders who were here committing crimes, stealing from employers, being caught in video. And even when their employer reports them to work, so there was a situation with a nanny where her Filipino helper had not only stolen tons of stuff from her, but apparently was setting up for her house to be robbed. And she wrote a letter to immigration about this. And they said, oh, yes, they would handle it. They would deal with it. And guess what? Nothing was done. That employee, as a foreign national, remains in the Cayman Islands and is now working for somebody else. So heaven forbid she continues her criminal activity. What will happen then? So it seems like immigration, when it comes to those sorts of things, they no longer take these complaints seriously, even when evidence is provided. They instead say, well, we can't do anything if the person isn't convicted and hauled off to jail for at least 12 months. Mayor Starr also says that businesses need to demand to hire Caymanian and promote Caymanians and provide adequate training. Caymanians are not scapegoats, make Caymanians first preference and a priority. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Debbie. Debbie says, I saw on Facebook where outsiders are asking people on island how to get jobs. One girl mentioned that she got her permit and was trying to get her boyfriend a permit. This is unacceptable. Well, you know, Debbie, I'm in one of those such groups and I see it all the time. There was even one who said, oh, I'm coming to the Cayman Islands to work. How do I get my boyfriend here? And somebody else said, oh, just lie and say that he's your fiance. It's like they're so open with it. And you and I are sitting back reading these comments. I know how upsetting it is to a lot of Caymanians.
Yeah.
We're reading these comments, and the powers that be seem to be very, very oblivious to how our laws are being breached. But what I find so amazing is how blatant they are. I mean, there are thousands of people in these groups, and they will make comments like, oh, just pretend like he's your fiance. Government has no way to prove that he isn't. You know, so it's like at another level how little regard they have for the laws and the people, most importantly, of the Cayman Islands. I completely see your point, Debbie. And I always get people, in case I missed one, they send me a screenshot of these and they're like, Sandy, look at this. Like, seriously? During COVID, downturn in our economy, we seem to be employing more foreign nationals than anything else. I've never seen anything like it. At some point, I'm questioning if we have really had a downturn in the economy, or is it just for Caymanians? I don't know. Elizabeth says that employment agencies are part of the problem. They're recruiting overseas. They're not interested in hiring Caymanians. Well, they're not interested in Caymanians because the people that they work for, which are the companies, aren't interested in hiring Caymanians. So you talk about a trickle-down effect. This is where the trickle-down effect is actually felt by Caymanians. So good point, Sharon. Legislative change is one way to address this, but you also need to have the political willpower to get it done.
That's it. And that's, you know, you mentioned something early on about people don't seem to want to acknowledge that it's happened. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that there's not one MP in this country that don't know or understand or believe that Caymanians aren't advancing and the level of discrimination that Caymanians face in the workplace. I think everybody is aware of that, especially in government. And I think where it comes to people, where it comes to the coalition government or the PPM or progressives or CDP, they all kind of do the exact same thing that they all have done. They all go into big business because that keeps them in power. Big business are paying, Sandy. You and I know that, and I think this entire country knows that. They're paying for political favors. They're paying for all of the I'm sure, all of the campaigns that these people are running on. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. But here's where the rubber meets the road for me. Caymanians now have to step up to the plate. I'm asking people in Prospect to step up to the plate and elect someone with a proven track record. Caymanians and folks in Prospect can no longer say that they don't have good choices. We've had out of 50 candidates, we have some really good candidates. Many people are running for the first time. Many people are coming in educated. But we now need to force these same folks to get off the fence. There's too many candidates that sits on the fence. They talk things in broad format, right? I'm going to fix education, but they have no plan. They've really never been in a school system before. They don't understand what the issues are, but they're going to fix education. I'm going to fix healthcare, but they don't really know anyone who suffered through it. This is the first time that they've even talked about it because they've been in the private sector for a very long time and they've had health insurance. Their families have had health insurance. I want to reduce the cost of living, but they make $100K a year and they don't need to worry about that part. See, Sandra, for the last 20 years, I've done this. I've seen this. My mother's been part of this system. I grew up paycheck to paycheck, understanding the criticalness of protecting our people. No one do need to tell me this. I've seen it for myself. At 18 years old, I was a social work intern. I've seen poverty like nobody's business over the last 30 years. I've seen the abuse. But also, I've seen successive governments from UDP to CDP to progressives to coalitions to all of this sort of mess. And you know what they continue to do? Make promises that they cannot fulfill. That's what these organizations continue to do. Caymanians now have to step up, and I'm asking for that. I am saying to Caymanians today, it's in your hands. It's not in Michael Myles' hand. You know what I'm about. You know that you're always gonna have the truth from me. I'm not gonna waver in that. I am not gonna mince words. You know that I am going to serve, not help anymore, because this is beyond, right? I don't help anymore. I now serve. Regardless of anything, I am going to serve our people, and I'm going to do it with dignity, with pride, but I am also going to do it with some integrity and some transparency. Because when a person comes to me and say that they're hungry, yes, I am going to support with helping them with food, but guess what? I'm doing it as a citizen, and then I'm going to sit down and help them do their resume, and I'm going to coach them through on how to get a job, and we are going to ensure that they're dressed properly, because that's what I do. I ensure that these things happen. When a person comes to me and says, hey, Mr. Myles, I really need opportunities to understand my finances, I pay for them to do the Financial Peace Universal class because somebody gave it to me. And that's how I got out of debt and understand my finances. So I'm paying that forward. I challenge Caymanians to come forward and say to me, here's what we want, and we are going to stand beside you as we push this movement forward. We're not going to falter in this. We're not going to be social media warriors. We're not going to sit in our backyards and complain about it. We're going to get out, and we are going to start to delegate. We're going to start to dedicate. We're going to start to have some willpower and have some courage to move this forward, because it's going to take us. No government, Sandra, is going to change this. Caymanians are going to have to step up and change it, because I can't elect myself. Caymanians are going to have to elect me and then hold me accountable for the deliverables. But also the deliverables are for the people. So there, as Caymanians, we're going to have to stay involved in that process as well. I believe for the last 25 years that we've had this two-party system, what we have done is delegated our power to these people. And then we turn around every 4 years and complain that they're not delivering, when really you didn't force their hand in anything. You didn't hold them accountable for anything, right? That's why a district council is critical to 19 constituencies. You're not going to just run off and do whatever you want. You're not going to vote on party line. You're going to be accountable to people. You're going to come to the table every single month or bi-monthly or bi-yearly, whatever you want to do with your district council. But it's nominated from the people, and we're holding MPs accountable for deliverables. And that's what I want. That's what I want from people, because for the last 20 years of my professional career, that's what I've given. I have given accountability to myself, because everything that I have done up to this point has been simply just that. Whatever I do, it has an outcome. It doesn't have an output. I don't just do things where it just never ends. It has to where it has to end, but it has a success. And then there's lessons learned part of that success or failure. But we have to get into now the norm of holding MPs accountable, but staying involved in the process. And I believe if we can do that, we will not need the coalition government. We will just elect people who will come together because they have good ideas, good values, who will be held accountable and form a government. And I think that we can do that, right? Which out of the 50 people who's going to vote against education? Who's going to say education is not important? Everybody's touting education, including the incumbent. But he's been in there for 4 years. I haven't heard anything about education. I haven't heard anything about the cost of living. I haven't heard anything about healthcare being expensive, because his healthcare is paid for at 100%. His pension is paid for at 100%. We have to start to now hold them accountable for that. And likewise, I hold myself accountable for the delivering of this. And it's not going to be easy. I don't expect being in Parliament easy. I expect egos and personalities, the same old crap that we always deal with every 4 years, where people get in and they simply just want to sit in the seat, keep it warm for 4 years, get a paycheck, and then they run for a re-election based on, Bobo, if you just give me one more 4-year term, I'm going to get this done. We can't vote for that anymore. We now have to vote for outcomes. What have you done, right? What have you done, and what are you currently doing to make sure that my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, their education system is better? That in the next 15 years, my great-grandchild is going to actually afford to build a house in this country. That we're not going to just become this concrete jungle of hotels and $1 million condos that Caymanians can't afford. That we are going to now start to look at protecting our environment. That we are going to take it seriously when a big developer comes in and he pushes down our mangroves and we don't do anything about that because it's trickle-down economics. We cannot do this like this, Sandy, anymore. And I'm begging almost Caymanians to come to the fold. Vote for me because I want an outcome for us. I want to make sure that everything that I have done in the last 28 years means something to Caymanian people. That Caymanian people can cling on not just to hope, because hope without hard work equals zero. I can spread hope like nobody's business, but if I don't get up out of my bed and come to Inspire Cayman Training Center and inspire young people and pick up a phone and call employers to make sure that they're here to look at how talented and skillful are, hope goes away because Caymanians are feeling hopeless. And you don't just say hope for the sake of saying hope. Oh, I'm gonna make Caymanians hopeful. No, I want Caymanians successful, right? I'm beyond hope at this point in time. I want Caymanians to be successful because we work hard and because we have dedicated our lives to protecting this country and because we deserve it. We as Caymanians deserve the best. That's not negotiable anymore. We should be electing candidates that give us that opportunity of success because we deserve it. Not because we're Caymanians, because we are human beings and it's our country. We deserve success, right? This whole Caymanian, well, I deserve because I'm a Caymanian, that goes out the door. Me, I'm a Caymanian, I've worked hard and I deserve to be successful because I've worked hard. My children, my grandchildren, the neighbor down the street, friends, families, all of us as Caymanians, we deserve success because we're going to get out there and work hard for it. And that's what I'm running on.
All right. Very well. We have Gabby who's here. She says, how are borders closed, but yet first-time permits are still being granted? Darlene said, good sense. A district council is a must. It works. Natasha points out that the banks, they charge you when you're trying to withdraw your own money from your account. Sue says that you're so right on everything that you're saying. Good morning, Larry, joining us from New York. Thank you so much. Ms. Joy says working in Cayman is a free-for-all, or maybe we are only seeing it now in these social media groups. Well, I'll tell you what I think, Ms. Joy, is happening is social media has highlighted a lot of things that we did not see before that we are clearly seeing now. And I think people are incredibly bold with what they say and what they do on social media. So Sharon says when election year comes around, we get a lot of promises, so we need to try something different. Merstar is here for it. She says, sweep them all out. They're only warming a seat and collecting a pay. And by the way, folks, don't forget that when we sweep them out, they're now going to be getting 3 months severance pay on the back of the people. They passed that during this last tenure. Thank you, Alden McLaughlin, under his leadership. They split that one under the table. There was no public consultation on this. We know, for example, people like Tara Rivers will not be running again, and she will also get a 3-month severance package, although the rumor mill is heavy that she will actually be getting a nice cushy job at one of the local law firms. So imagine that. 3 months severance, folks, right? As a retiring MP after 2 dismal terms in office, and you already got a job lined up. So she's probably, to not rub it in too much, I think what she's going to do is take a little mini vacation for the next 3 months. As a matter of fact, somebody told me just last week, she was out at some cooler fete, enjoying herself because, Now she definitely has no worries about what people think or say. She was out there winding up and grinding up. Good for her. Now she's going to get 3 months severance. The cushy job is already in the bank, and she'll start that after the 3 months so that she can take a vacation from doing pretty much nothing. Merstar says, Michael, you're talking the things. Going to lead prospect in 2021. Sharon sends her support. Natasha says, every conservative government has Molly cuddled the employment agencies and private sector companies with the fear and threats that they will leave. No, they won't. As the benefits that these persons enjoy here, they could never achieve where they're from. Look at how quickly they return when rolled over or retire. They will trash talk here when leaving, but in a year or two, they're back, right back here. Please to stop allowing foreigners to bully you and start defending your own. When in Rome, do. And unfortunately, the rest of the comment got cut off there. Some good points, though, because honestly, we have seen, even last week when we were talking about the stapler thief, right? Oh, girl. Natasha, your comment is so long. I'm viewing it on my other screen here, and it's very long. She goes on to say, let me just see here. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, meaning when you're visiting another place, you should follow the customs of the people in that place. We the Caymanians need jobs, not handouts, not encouragement of a welfare system. We cannot run to another country like the majority here on permits. Cayman is all we have. In crises, very, very few will stick around and get dirty in the trenches to rebuild the Cayman Islands. So stop giving away everything we have and hold dear, turning us into second-class citizens in our own Cayman Islands. We would like the same opportunities that the work permit holders have to only be privy or can access. So thanks, Natasha, for that comment. Yeah, I mean, it's so incredibly interesting, Michael. Last week we were talking about the stapler thief, and it's amazing the 300 plus comments, largely people coming to his defense, trying to castigate even us here in CMR. Well, ooh, the court list is full of thieves and this and that, and you're not reporting it. I'm like, really? Clearly, you're not following CMR, because if you were, you would know that we report more, although we only have 1 or 2 writers, we actually report more crime that is happening in this community. The second someone's at your door in terms of the police, we're the ones reporting it. The other news media aren't. They might wait until after you get a conviction. If it's an interesting story, then it goes up. We report it all. The young lady who stole the TV from Price Right, $100 and something. We reported that, because to us, it doesn't matter the amount of the theft. Theft is theft. So you have people on there trying to make excuses for this young man last week. Oh, maybe it was a mistake, they said. He might have forgotten it in his cart. He didn't even have a cart. It was the sole item that he walked in the store to steal. Okay? A stapler. Which he, by the way, swapped boxes and paid for the cheaper of the two. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, the standard that we see happening. Just going back to Natasha's point, which I think is very, very valid. There seems to be 2 different rules and standards for people who are living here as work permit holders, and a lot of Caymanians who have no choice but to live here.
Agreed. Sonny, I would, I know that we are going to be wrapping up shortly. I just want to highlight a few things. One, I know that I'm not going to reach everybody. So I'd love for people to visit my website. As I said, it's www.likemichaelmyles.com. Please go on out there. I have like an endorsement button out there. Love to hear people's comments and endorsing the sort of standards and my leadership priorities that I'm bringing to this. These aren't new. I've been doing this for a very long time. So it's not 8 months ago that I started looking at how we improve education. I've been doing this for years. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page, like Michael Myles. On March 27, which is this Saturday, we're having a family barbecue at the Spots Newlands Park. Come out. I have tried to express to folks, if you're looking for some overpaid, overhyped, grandstanding, expensive sort of promotion of ideas. That's not who I am. I want to meet people on the ground. I want to talk to people. I want to answer questions. I want to share ideas. I have no interest in getting up on a stage and grandstanding. That has never been who I am. I want to include people. This has to be inclusive going forward. And I want to be different from any other candidate that's out there, because it has to be about talking to people about where they are and where they want to go and how they want to get involved in this. So March 27th, it's another opportunity to please come out and have some food, bring your kids. We're going to have a bouncy castle there, some face painting. You know, my kid can play with your kid, because that's what this is about. I want my daughter to understand, as a Kimanian, she's going to be in every community in across this country. She's going to play with all the kids in this country, because that's how I grew up. I grew up in Central Georgetown. I grew up behind Patterson Shop, between Rock Hole and the East and the Swamp and Watlers Road was my playground. Annex playing field was what made me. It built confidence in me by playing football from a pee-wee level to an international level to a school level. So I want to make sure that people have a clear understanding that I am not this person who is going to get up and say a lot of nice words and rally the crowd, and then for 4 years you don't hear about what I'm going to be doing. This has to start from the community. We have to start on ensuring that the community stays involved, and we have to start that the community holds us as MPs and as public servants accountable. And I don't believe that the coalition government is going to offer that. What they're going to offer up right now is more development, less trickle down, more poverty, more NAU, and more Caymanians that are going to be sidelined. That's what this government's going to do. And I can say that without a fact. I am seeing it every single day of people walk in my door. So I'm not telling people this of what I assume. Most candidates can say that. Like most candidates, it's the first time that they're seeing poverty because they've never gone door to door. I've been going door to door for the last 20 something years. I understand what the ills of our country has produced out there. Even though that where a person could come in this country and build or buy a $2 million condo without a bat of an eye. And a Caymanian can't afford a $50,000 loan to buy some land, right? I think that there's a lot of unfair standards. And if you are looking at voting for a coalition because they feel that they have it all together, they don't have it all together. They have no clue what poor people are going through. Look at all of them. I want Caymanians to have a look at all of these people. Look at where they live. Look at what they're saying. Look at who they are. I live in the Prospect area. I've never seen the premier, ever, in 4 years, 8 years. I've never seen them. I've never seen Austin. They don't come out. And when they do, they bring an entourage of people. They don't really come out and enjoy the benefits of just being part of the community. They come out to preach. They come out to give stuff away. I'm not doing that. I think it's disgusting. I think it's untidy. I think if we are a community, if we want to help each other, then let's help each other. We don't need to post a crop on Facebook, right? Not unless people want to do that. I want to make sure that at the end of the day, that the average citizen knows that they have the resilience to help another. It doesn't matter how bad the situation is. I have seen ordinary people do a lot of extraordinary things. And I believe that I am an extraordinary person because my mother built me. My mother made me who I am. I've had loads of mentors who poured and toiled and disciplined and coached and mentored and made sure that I knew that my life has to be about service. It's about giving back. And because I've given back, Sandy, my daughters have experienced enormous success. I haven't paid for college in 8 years because my kids have done well because I've given back. And I will continue to do that regardless of being in politics or out of politics, because it's who I am. So I'm asking folks in Prospect, look at our records. Look at what you have, the hand that you've been dealt with by the coalition government in the last 8 years. Look at what it is. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, that is manufactured. If you can't afford your health insurance, it's manufactured. If you don't know when you're going to retire, it's manufactured. If you have $1 million condo or a hotel net going up next to you and you can't afford nothing but rent, it's manufactured. It is not a surprise. All of these things are all manufactured. It is to help, it is to keep us with our hands out. It's to keep us begging. It's to keep us pleading with the government. So if you want another 4 years of this, you continue to vote the way you vote and you'll get what you get. But if you want to change that, I'm saying to you right now, I'm that candidate. I'm the candidate that's going to make that change. I'm just going to fight for that change. I'll work with whoever. You know, people have this deal about, well, Michael, who are you going to work with? Who are you going to align with? I will work with whoever. So if it's McKeeva, if it's Alden, I'll work with those people. Am I going to align with them? No. But if it means that we get universal health care and everybody in this country gets health care that's affordable, I will work with the devil to do that because I want Caymanians to have health care. And if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But I am not going to sell out because it's political expediency. If the devil is an MP, I need to work with that because that's what the people wanted. But I am not going to come in and just align with people just because I want a position in government. That's not who I am. I don't need a position in government. What I want is to amplify people's voices. And every young person that I have met, I have begged and pleaded with them. Stand beside me. Don't forsake me because you've given me an X. I know that when you've given me the X's, that's the time that I need you. That's the time that I need to talk with you. That's the time that I need you to stay with me. That's the time that I need us to go into Parliament and let MPs listen. Because Michael Myles going into Parliament, I'll get drained out just like everyone else. But Michael Myles going in there with 3,000 people, and we send a message to these people that we come to make some changes to this. We're not coming just to sit around and hang out. We're coming to do some work. And that's what, Sandy, I believe, prospect people want. I believe prospect people want to vote for someone who they know they can depend on, that's going to get them a result, that's going to listen to what they have to say, despite us having differences. I have gone into many homes, Sandy, that I've had differences with what people's ideologies are. And I respect that because this is a democracy. But I've also let them understand what my integrity has taught me. And I'm not going to get in there and focus on just one agenda or this one's agenda, or I need to promote this one and that one. It has to be everyone in Prospect, and it has to be everyone in the Cayman Islands. So that's what the agenda is right now. And we can form that, right? That has to be formed by the people, not just by Michael Myles. I have key principles that I want to make sure that we can get done, but it fits in to the wider opinions and aspirations of folks in Prospect. Things like cost of living, education, protecting our environment, equality, healthcare, in particular mental health care, right? These are things that people in Prospect have said that they want. So I built my leadership principles on those things. Well, those things have to be broken down and those things have to be prioritized because we're not going to do it all in 4 years. But people in Prospect and the wider community have to force their MPs to push harder, to cooperate. And that's what I want to do. I'm not here to get in there and say, well, I don't like this one. It doesn't matter to me about like. I get off on respect. I want to work with everyone. I want to make sure that we can get what we get done because our people want that. That's what this is about. So I appreciate always the time when people sit down and talk with me about what their aspirations are.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time this morning. We sincerely appreciate it. Folks, this is Michael Myles. He's one of the 3 candidates running in the district of Prospect. So we do have also the incumbent, obviously, is Austin Harris. I think Austin's got a problem on his hands. He might be getting ready to collect some severance pay because he's got 2 very, very strong candidates running against him. Mr. Michael Myles is here today. And of course, Sabrina Turner is normally here on Fridays. So Eden says, your spirit is what all of Cayman needs. The amount of Caymanians I've met in different sectors who get opportunity directly from this man's efforts is incredible. This man will work harder and smarter for Cayman. Respect from West Bay North. Thank you, Miss Nancy, for tuning in. Richard says, Michael for Premier. Oh my gosh. The pressure's on, Michael. The pressure's on. Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of the love and support, everyone. Michael, we'll be seeing you again. I think you're scheduled to come back with us at least one more time before the April the 14th election.
Yeah.
Folks,
Yeah.
time is of the essence now. You got to get to know your candidates. Michael, we'll see you next time for sure.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. The listening audience, Caymanians, I love you guys. Thank you for having me this morning. Great questions, great commentary. God bless. Have a great week.
All right, my dear. Very good. So thank you. Ingrid said we need you there. We definitely need some changes. And I think it is, it's going to be one of the most interesting races to watch, because I think you guys have got some good selections, some good options there for sure in terms of the competition. So it's going to be very, very interesting. There's going to be some of these races that will be runaway races in the sense that, there's no real competition. I don't think that that's the case with Prospect at all. Prospect, hey, Flashpoint, I haven't seen you commenting in a minute. But yes, Prospect, and this sentiment, a lot of people are sharing that it's unfortunate that both Sabrina and Michael are running in the same constituency, because they bring a lot to the table. Sabrina has talked about, we'll hear from her again, I'm sure, on Friday, but she's talked about her 10 plus years of working there in the community. So I'm glad I'm not in Prospect. My choice is so much easier. I mean, yes. Okay. All right, folks. Those are my little typing fingers. Folks, it has been another fantastic show. I don't want to, there's something else that I want to discuss today, but I want to give it ample time. So tomorrow we'll talk about how you can literally get away with murder here in the Cayman Islands. And it's unfortunate. It's been a year, over 2 years now, that someone was murdered, and it continues to be an issue where there is no real answers on the horizon. Like, seriously, it's despicable, to be quite frank. We're going to talk about that tomorrow morning. I'm a bit dismayed when I see these types of things happening in our community. I think we need to expect better from investigators here. And, we're going to talk about some of those things tomorrow. What else happened over the weekend? Oh, right. Let me say this. Elvis apparently had a meeting. We did not know anything about it. Just on the political front, folks. If you don't tell us what's going on, don't assume. I mean, I try to keep my ear down to the ground, and I do know a lot. But do not assume that we know everything, because we don't know everything that is happening. And sometimes, if you don't tell us, we just don't know. So apparently Elvis had a meeting on Saturday as well, and we knew nothing about it. That's unfortunate. So, we'll try to talk to Elvis. He is a little bit difficult to reach sometimes, but it seems like Elvis may actually be the runaway candidate for this election. He may be the one that shocks everybody, because he has been receiving a lot of support from people. People are listening to Elvis. They're paying attention to him, and they're saying, you know what? Let's give Elvis a chance. Surely he can do no worse than Captain Eugene. And in fact, he has spoken during this campaign season more than Captain Eugene has in the past 20 years. And Elvis is making more sense than when Captain Eugene speaks. So having said that, I think to myself, Cayman Brackers, Little Cayman voters, you guys have an opportunity to really pull this one out. Listen, it's all on you. But I would say definitely give him an opportunity. I'm shocked and I'm amazed. Elvis had so many people watching him on Thursday's chamber forum because Juliana decided that she didn't even respect the people enough to show up. Someone claims that she had a PTA meeting, the first one that they said she's attended in 12 years. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think that what you need to do is ensure that you show up and you participate in these things just to show respect to the people that are going to spend their time going out and voting for you. Why should someone take time out of their busy day on April the 14th and go and put an X next to your name if half the time you don't even show up for stuff? No respect. Anyway, she may be doing that to her own detriment because guess what? Elvis got his no weed, no vote t-shirts. You guys know that he's running on a no weed, no vote campaign. So he got his t-shirts apparently delivered over the weekend. He had a meeting. It was actually live stream. I just wish that we knew a little bit more about it. We're going to try to get in contact with Elvis and see if we can bring him on the program. Because of course, we don't want Cayman Brackers and Little Cayman residents, we're all Caymanians alike, to feel like they are going to be left out of the process. So thank you guys so much. Julie says, Elvis is the boss. Wish I could vote for him. Imagine, right? This is what it is. Elvis will contribute a lot more than a few currently in Parliament. I agree with that sentiment as well. We need some grassroots people. Not everyone is going to be vying for minister or premiership, but there has to be some balance in how all of this works. And I think Elvis can certainly add the voice of the common person to the balance. And I know some of you think it's kind of amusing, but let me tell you something. If Elvis wins, poor Juliana, she gonna need some prayer. Remember when she was trying to pray gay people out of the country, out of the world? I don't know what her request was from God exactly, but her herself might need some prayer after all of this. Talking about another no-show, let me just confirm this. Remember we were talking about our little friend who said that he needed prayer earlier? Well, that was none other than Mr. Frank Cornwall. Well, guess what? Today he should have been on Rooster debating Kenneth Bryan. And it is my understanding that he didn't show up. So hold on a second here now. Let me just get this straight. Because you guys know I don't necessarily watch the show Crosstalk, but I think they're over now anyway. But someone sent this to me, so I'm just trying to get the details of exactly what happened. But my sources are telling me he didn't show up. What? Frank, what are you praying to God for if you're not helping yourself? Did you not read that part in the Bible where God helps those who help themselves? God is going to help you if you do your part. We have to be self-sufficient. So look at this. I don't see him here anywhere. I don't know why they're showing the guy in the middle. I mean, I guess he's in the studio doing whatever. But poor Kenneth was there by himself, him and 24 people watching between Cayman Crosstalk and the Compass. But where is Frank Cornwall? You see, this is what I'm talking about. You can't say that you're running for political office and you're going to represent the people of this country and you're afraid of the people. Take your licks. You got to learn how to answer questions. Clifton wants to know who's Elvis Child. If you missed it, you got to go back a couple shows. Yes, this is not a good look. A no-show, another no-show for the PPM. Just because you're weak, that is when you show up, folks. That is when you come to the party. Yes, Frank can't handle Kenneth. Poor him. Well, he demonstrated that he can need all the prayer he can get. Because why waste your $1,000? You put up $1,000 and then you're talking about you're praying to God to help you with your struggles. You know what God would have said? Show up and I will give you the miracle, son, that you need. God would have probably helped you with some of those questions if you had prepared. But you got to prepare. God ain't helping nobody who doesn't show up prepared. You know, the Bible talks about all these parables of how we ourselves need to contribute. Yes, God can work in miraculous ways, but he also expects you by the brow of your, what's the sweat of your brow? He expects you to work hard and to do what you've got to do. Oh gosh, Tracy's saying that there's a hot mess at the airport with vaccinations. Ooh, honey child, that's what I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till nobody else wants the vaccine. And then I'm going to show up, be the first one to walk in, the only one to walk in. I can get mine. Frank hiding under Alden's frock tail. He better find somewhere else to hide because Alden might be in trouble himself because Sammy Jackson coming strong. Folks, this is going to be an absolutely interesting election. And Elizabeth, thank you for reminding me that I actually wanted to talk about that. So no one connected to the current government showing up in CMR. Well, I don't know if they're not showing up in Crosstalk because like I said, I don't actually watch Cayman Crosstalk. Sometimes people say, oh, this is on. I might have to go and pull a clip or something, but really I don't watch the show. But what I do know is they're doing all of their advertising with the Compass. So they're live streaming their shows and whatever they do, their marketing stuff with the Compass, and they're using their own format. I had another person who's in the industry, video production and marketing, say to me over the weekend, she's like, you know, they just don't get it. They do not get that. This is what she said. No, I don't think they do. People do not get that you need to go where the people are at in order to reach the people. And, you know, without a doubt, they're not really reaching a whole lot of people, but they will do so at their own detriment. That's what they think of you. They want to put us all on the sidelines. Oh, we don't like CMR. We don't like this. So we're not going to do any art advertising with them. We're not going to come on their show. They wouldn't even provide us with free information when we were updating the Cayman Decides website. They wouldn't provide us with any candidate photos, none of their links, nothing. We had to go, listen to how ridiculous this is. We had to go scouring for that information ourselves in order to make sure that the Cayman Decides website, which is a nonpartisan, non-biased website, is as informed as possible so that it can keep you informed. It will be your go-to spot for real-time election news as well as CMR on election night. And they refuse to even acknowledge your email. This is how much they care about you, the people. They don't care. This government, you know, they often talked about McKeeva this, McKeeva that. They are a bunch of elitist fools. And they shouldn't be. Because when you have to pull in people like poor Frank Cornwell, he doesn't really fit the elitist mentality. We know he's as common as you can get. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying he's a common Georgetowner who gonna sit down on a Friday night and pull out the Hennessy and drink straight from the Hennessy bottle. That's what he's all about. But you know, you give him no exposure. You don't want him talking to people. He can't put two sentences together. So what you gonna do? You're gonna lose is what you're gonna do. And they're going to lose more seats than they know. That's why they're talking about, oh, you know, common joy or alliance government. Even your alliance government is in trouble. Even these independents that are running with you, the mere fact that they're running with you says enough about them and their mentality. And people are going to vote them out as a result of that. So Tracy says that's why they send out the schedule. Yes, Elizabeth, Miss Mary says the two absentees on the form did an injustice to themselves and shows the people exactly who they are. If they're a no-show, Now, to let the people know their intentions for the next 4 years, how can we depend on them to represent us? Well, you see, they think you're going to vote them in no matter what. They have this mentality that they can do whatever. And there's the same mentality coming out of West Bay North and the rest of the places, right? West Bay Central, they have this mentality that we don't do anything for 4 years. We barely do anything going into the election. And guess what? The people of this country still are going to vote us in. It's like a Trump mentality. I can grab a woman by the you-know-what, and you people are not going to care. It's the McKeever mentality. I can beat a woman up at her workplace, and you're still not going to care. You are still going to vote me in because I go to church and I sing in the choir and I tell you to vote me in. The people need to wake up. Those of you who are still asleep really need to get it together. Belika says, yes, Frank did not show up. Does he subscribe to the view that if you do not speak, we might have thought you were smart? Well, I know that's not the case. Thank you so much, Brianna. She says that she hardly listens to the radio talk show because she's tuned in here. Well, we are hopefully going to be partnering with a radio station very, very soon, just to ensure that those of you who are still listening to traditional radio can get to us regardless. We got plans for you, not to worry. We want to have it all covered. So thank you for that, though. We really appreciate those of you who are able to listen on here. And like I said, we get thousands of views every single day through just Facebook alone. So I know that you guys are tuned in. Yeah, Alden can't help. Alden cannot help most people who are running with him. Like I said, Alden himself is in trouble. Prospect Red Bay voters, from what I'm hearing, you guys are ready for change. You just got to put your X right next to the correct name. That's going to be on you for sure. Mikla says Sandy for premier. Honey child, no. I don't see that in the what's the little glass? You know what glass I'm talking about, right? The globe. Oh gosh, help me out here. What's the name of it now? I'm Miss Cleo globe. That ain't happening. But thank you, Miklas. I think, you know what? I've always said this, you're right where you're supposed to be. And I am so thankful that we have had the opportunity. This is our first election cycle. And thank God that we are here to be able to bring you all of the news. I had some young people at Johan's launch party last week say to me, oh, Miss Sandra, we love Cayman Mall Road and you've been crystal ball. Thank you, Richard. Yes, I don't see that in the crystal ball. And they said, you know, we've been watching everything you've been doing from December. Before that, you were covering election news. I said, that's right. From, I think, August of last year, we were all over it. And so when, you know, the irony of it is when we said, for example, that Frank was running, this was the one example they gave last week when I saw them at Johan's meeting. And they said, oh, you know, the Compass said, oh, this was a surprise decision. And they're like, wait a minute. Sandy told us that months ago. That was not a surprise. We knew about that because I'm a Caymanian, Georgetowner, actually, although I've lived in Newlands and this side of the island for a while, I'm still a Georgetowner. And I got my eyes on the ground and my ears down to the gravel because we're the Mall Road. And so we know exactly what is going on. Didn't we tell you that Alva was going to be pairing up with the PPM? Y'all didn't believe that either. But we were spot on once again. So yes, with the election cycle, we are well informed, folks. We know Wagwan. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I can't always tell you guys every little thing because sometimes I don't want to compromise the discussions that are happening and the people that are in the background working with each other. But let me tell you something, right? First of all, congratulations to Wayne Panton for stepping up to the plate on Saturday and coming all the way from Heather's meeting here in Savannah straight to Kenneth's meeting in Georgetown. Now, let me tell you, his mere appearance on Kenneth's stage, shots fired. It was like blah, 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 all over the place. Because that sends a very clear message in more ways than one. Number one, Kenneth, Wayne, and others are already in talks with independent members are not going to make the same mistake they made last time. They are going to work together. And they have already started talking and working together. And so when you see now during the campaign season that they make a move like what Wayne did, and they actually show up on a platform, that is a clear as talking about the crystal globe. The crystal globe is not murky on that one. It is crystal clear. Wayne said, I am willing to work with Kenneth. He is a good young man. He represents his people well. The people of Georgetown Central are by and large happy with him. That doesn't happen every day. Wayne Panton doesn't go to any and everybody's meeting. He has his coalition with Ozzy, Heather, and himself. So he will be on their platform. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time that he has stepped on anybody else's platform to support Kenneth. So yes, that was a big sign. And you know what else? Now that oh gosh, what's his name now? Alva has joined back with the progressives. He has had to throw his friend and sort of political ally, Kenneth, under the proverbial bus. He didn't have to, but he did. And this is very, very concerning because he actually got on the stage and told people to vote for Frank Cornwall, that he is somehow the better option, which we all know is a lie. If this was an episode of Jerry Springer, that buzzer would have been, bah, bah, bah. And the test results came back. You are a liar. Frank is no better than Frank Cornwall is definitely not a better option than Kenneth Bryan. But the mere fact that you would do that, wow. I would like to be a fly on the wall when Kenneth and Alva have that discussion after May the 14th about why did you throw me under the bus for Frank? Ooh, honey child, the tea, ooh, we would need more than tea in our cup that night to be a fly on the wall. It would be like, why would you do that to me? It was one thing to say, okay, I'm joining back up with the progressives, blah, 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 whatever, right? But the progressives, I guess maybe they control what comes out of your mouth. I don't know exactly how this works because it looks like people turn fools when they start supporting this alliance government and the progressives. And so he jumped up on stage and told people to support Frank in Georgetown Central. In my opinion, he didn't have to do that. He could have just like not said anything at all. You know? Yeah, somebody just sent me the footage. Hold on now. Let me pull it up. Thank you, honey child. Somebody just sent me the footage of Wayne Panton supporting Kenneth. So let me just pull that up. Since we're here. Someone else is asking about Canova Watson in court. Yes, Canova's in court. Yes, he's been in court for a couple weeks now. His trial is back on. And so it is going to be a very lengthy trial for Canova. He's accused of some other shenanigans and stuff as well. So that will be ongoing for a while. Let me just see here now. Because listen, the bundles in these cases are like thousands of pages alone. It is a lot. So Canova and his co-accused do have an ongoing trial. So yes, Canova's back in court. I don't know if I can bore you with all the details. Once we get towards the end, when a verdict is coming in, I'll let you guys know the summary of the case and the verdict, because otherwise your brain would be like, it's too much to handle. Elizabeth says Bernie's launch had Sammy, Arden, Chris, Johan, and Sharon Wilson, too, with Mario in the audience. Yes, child. They know they got to support each other because listen, the progressive has created this image that they're so super strong because they're unified, right? And they keep telling you, oh, don't support independents, but yet they have to go out there and recruit independents in order to form their government. And I hate to say it, but anyone who supports this alliance government, you're sending a very, very strong message about where you stand. So Cameron says they all had to run to Kenneth because he was the only GT MP that wasn't government, but the only one with a guaranteed landslide come re-election time. And that's true. That is very true. So let's see what Wayne Panton had to say. Thank you to our astute audience members for sending this clip.
Because you're a good man. Because you've been doing a good job. That's why they love you. Absolutely. He can't do it by himself. He needs people that work with him. And he is going to do a good job. We at Community Creates Country, we're willing to work with Kenneth. We are willing to work with Kenneth.
Thank you.
Amen.
Because he will teach us things that we don't know, and we can teach him things that he don't know as well. You know, I was thinking just now, I just came from Savannah. I just came from my colleague at the Borden's meeting. I drove down here as fast as I could get because I didn't want to be late. Ended up being a few minutes late anyway. But you know what? I ended up speaking after 3, not just 1, but 3 incredible women, right? Strong, intelligent, capable, community-minded, people-centered women who endorsed Heather Borden. And I come here and I end up sitting behind another incredible woman that shared her views about Kenneth with you, that shared her thoughts, and not just any woman, but a former talk show host who got paid to talk and talk about the truth. So I feel kind of inadequate coming up here after her. I do, because it's hard to follow an incredible woman. It is hard to follow, and trust me, he has an incredible wife there. I know her before I know Kenneth. No, that's not quite true, but I know her a long time. She's a good woman, he's a good man. Don't make Kenneth fool you. She the boss. This business about father the house and all that, that don't happen unless she says so. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you a little bit about my involvement with Kenneth, because you all will remember that Kenneth came to the Progressives when I was a part of the Progressives. And one thing that always amazed me about Kenneth was that he wanted to understand anything he didn't understand. He wanted to learn about anything he didn't know about. I don't know why he thought I knew the answers, but he used to come and ask the questions all the time. And I would do my best to talk, even if I had to go and check the answers, but I would do my best to talk and explain to him what I thought the position was. And I always respected that. That taught me that this is a man that is willing to go to the extremes to learn what he doesn't know in order to better serve the country, better serve you, the people of the country.
All right, folks, so you heard it. Wayne Panton. Yes, Bonnie says Wayne is a good man who does things from his heart. Well done, says Sue. Khmer Star says Kenneth is going to destroy that man. It's really only a question of how much. Does he even get his deposit back? Because if you don't get, is it 5% of the vote or 10%? You don't get your $1,000 deposit back. So anyway, child, it is what it is. Frank, keep praying, Frank Cornwall. You need the prayers, but I would suggest you actually start putting in a little bit of effort if you were serious about this. Kenneth Bryan, Chris Saunders, Wayne Panton, Ozzy, Bauden, Bernie Bush. These are some predictions from Merstar. You go, girl. Lots and lots of predictions. Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging with us. Great numbers again this morning, hanging right around 200. The YouTube crowd is growing every single day. Thank you to our YouTube viewers. I need to go and do some work now. I've got lots of paperwork to do. You guys know on Friday, I was supposed to do a root canal and it didn't get done. So I've got to call and reschedule that fun event. Anyway, my good folks, I thank you so much for making this the island's #1 talk show. Keep it locked here. We will be working on the CIS story as soon as I'm confident that the website is back up and running, because we know that as soon as you guys hit that story, it's going to blow up. Okay. So I want to make sure the website is stable before I post it, because once I post it and it goes viral, it is what it is. So once again, folks, thank you all so very much for your continued support. We got a number of stories that we're working on. We need to go talk to Mr. Alvin. Somebody stole his pots from him, and we need to find out what is going on with that. So we will be doing a report a bit later on that as well. So have a beautiful, beautiful day. Everything looks good here. The computer was smooth. Yeah, everything looks nice. All right. So yes, Lena, vote, 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 vote. Let us have the highest voter turnout ever in the history of the Cayman Islands. Don't allow people to slide by because you didn't go out and vote for the right people and show your support, or people to get elected with only 20% of the vote or 22% or whatever it is. You know, because if you got 5 people running, that's exactly what could possibly happen. So someone just messaged and said that Alva is supporting Vincent Frederick against Chris Saunders as well. As you would say, what a hot mess. That is a hot mess. Yes, he has Vincent's meeting posted on WhatsApp. Lord Jehovah. Alva. Well, we're going to be talking to Alva. We're supposed to do one of our conversations with pieces, which is non-political, so he won't get to say anything political during that one. But I think Alva's got some splaining to do. And you know, you guys are here for the sauce and the mix-up. So imagine when you send me pictures like this one, Alva trying to decide what group he's running with. Lord have mercy. You guys are wrong. You are just so wrong. I can't even. There's a lot of the memes that we've been getting for the election that are so crazy. We'll put together a collage of those one day because, oh my gosh, what can I say? What can I say? Honestly, what is life without a little bit of humor? But you guys are bringing it hard. You're making me laugh. I just can't even. Try to behave yourselves, people. Have a wonderful day. And we will see you guys here again tomorrow morning. Yes. Oh my gosh. You guys are just too much.
A new dawn is on the horizon, shedding light on a new era as we reimagine the way forward. Hi, I'm Sabrina Turner, and I want to be your voice, your hope, your choice for Prospect. Life has changed abruptly and profoundly, but it's now more vital than ever that we work together to ensure the safety, health, and prosperity of the Cayman Islands as we rebuild an even more resilient future that is based on a foundation of national pride and unity. It's time to rethink our direction. It's time to look at the way we do things. It's time your voice is heard. It's time your hope for our country's future becomes a reality. It's time the right choice is made. I want to help you realize your hopes and dreams and be that voice for you. The time is now to rejuvenate Prospect and make it the vibrant community that it was, and approach issues such as beautification, safety, flooding, and crime, as we proactively deal with issues such as neighborhood nuances and unemployment. As your representative, safeguarding the lives and livelihoods of the people of Prospect will always be at the forefront of all that I do. And together, we can be the voice of change and the hope for a better tomorrow. I am Sabrina Turner, and I want to be your voice, your hope, your choice for Prospect.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.